Nobody asked you to be an advocate. Black people did not ask you to advocate for them. Black people did not ask you to talk on behalf of them. So why did a person that his father is from, where again, I don't even want to remember it, but his mother is from Jamaica, have to go into a podcast show and start talking about reparations? Why black people do not deserve reparation? Why black people don't even need reparation? Why black people should not be given reparations? They are no longer slaves. The people that were enslaved are far gone. Who told you they are far gone? Who told you that they are not people that are enslaved, that are still in this present day? And if you're talking about the people that are enslaved that should not be given reparation, did you come to that realization that people that actually own slaves have been given reparation? So what happened to their descendants? One thing I've noticed with some of these people is any single thing that will not benefit them, any single thing that will not add their generational names, east, west, north, and south, for them to be able to cash out from, and they feel like this is going to be beneficiary to black folks, they literally want it to stop. They want to take it. They don't even want it to exist. They don't even want it to happen. Because at the end of the day, they see black folks as a threat to them, where a lot of black people are sitting down minding their business. But anyways, let me not talk too much. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Credit belongs to original creators of every single clips and stitches you're going to be seeing in our today's episode. And guys, just let me know what you think in the comment section. Let's get right into this video, and I'll be back with commentaries.
To just play quickly what you said about reparations.
Dr. King said at the tail end of his life, he said, we're going to Washington to get our check. What is your position on reparations?
I don't believe in reparations. I don't.
Good. Next. Well, then you don't believe in the black community.
So you don't believe in reparations?
Oh, wow. Why did y'all play the rest of the clip, man? I was on fire during that one. A couple things is, all right, how many people in the United States today are actually descendants of slave owners? Forget descendants of slaves. Let's hold that to the side. Descendants of slave owners. You've had massive immigration into the United States over the last 150 years. So now you're going to say that people who immigrated to the United States, who are not descendants of slave owners, were not descendants of that trade, now they're going to be responsible for paying that out going forward. My mother's Jamaican. My father's Panamanian. You have a lot of black people in this country who are not descendants of the American slave trade. So I already know off top, there's a lot of black people in America who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit or get reparations.
Well, most people who are for reparations, they feel like it should go to what they call foundational black Americans anyway.
And I agree with that point. But I'm just saying, I'm just laying out, these are the reasons for why I'm no. So while I'm
so
now,
you do support reparations for what Leonard just deemed as, quote, foundational black Americans?
No, I don't.
No.
But I want to explain that. I want to explain that. And so that's why you have a lot of people saying, okay, well, then what are we going to do? And so my view is that what you do going forward is why you have to have wholesale changes in economic, medical policy, et cetera, so that the ability to access various parts of our economy and grow in our economy work for everybody, including people in our country who are, quote unquote, foundationally black. Now, let me translate to what's happened in California. So there was a bill in California for reparations. The California Assembly, which is massively Democrat, they didn't move that bill. They could have moved that bill. When they were asked why they weren't moving that bill, they tucked tail and turned and ran away. They didn't even have the guts to actually answer that question. So I'm here with y'all. I'll tell you why I'm a no. But you have Democrats who will say they're for something, but when it comes time to actually do it, they're not there for you. They say they run away. They don't answer the question, and to be blunt, like the current vice president, not answering a lot of questions.
But she did say that she's for reparations.
After she said she wasn't. So which one is it?
No, she never said she wasn't.
That's never happened.
That's the false narrative.
All right, that's fine. I'm gonna let it
go.
She
was here when she said it.
But we have a history of racism in America.
So you are for some type of
Yes, I am.
reparation. Okay.
Yes, I am.
I'm not gonna challenge.
Yeah.
I won't challenge.
But I guess the question is, Congressman, you say that you're not for reparations. Then you go on to say that there are a lot of elected officials. We know that racism is a bipartisan problem, right? So on that, do you know who was the father of affirmative action?
No, that's a good question. Actually, I don't know the answer to that one.
The answer is a Republican by the name of Dr. Arthur Fletcher, who worked, you brought up Richard Nixon earlier. He worked with Richard Nixon.
Right.
But I've noted that you are opposed to affirmative action. Again, another policy that would democratize access to all of the things that you've talked about today, including economic access for Black people. So on that.
What do you want Black people to have, Byron?
I want them to have everything. I want them to have access to everything that this nation can do when it's running right.
How do
So
we
why,
do that?
why be against the legislation that provides that then?
Yeah.
Because you have a situation now where the real question is, do you need affirmative action today? Not did you need affirmative action? The answer to that is 100% yes. You absolutely needed it. The question is in 2024, in 2028, in 2032, do you need that now? I would argue the thing you need more now is you got to have equality in terms of the level of academic attainment for young Black kids. What a young Black kid needs more now than anything today is to be able to read and write, read at grade level, write at grade level, do math at grade level, and frankly, and beyond. That's what they need today.
You know, Byron, I don't disagree with you, but I just don't trust white supremacy that much.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
I feel like you need that type of legislation. I feel like you need those guardrails in place to make sure. To protect, yes, and to make sure those type of things happen.
In this country who are not descendants of the American slave trade.
Look.
So I already know off top, there's a lot of Black people in America who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit or get reparations.
Well, most people who are for reparations, they feel like it should go to what they call foundational Black Americans anyway.
And I agree with that point. But I'm just saying, I'm just laying out, these are the reasons for why I'm no.
Look.
So so
They
now,
do support reparations for what Leonard just deemed as, quote, foundational Black Americans.
I don't.
No.
But I want to explain
Okay.
that. I want to explain.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why we want to sever ties with these people. This is why. This man's name is Byron Donalds. He is a congressman, a Republican United States representative in the state of Florida. Do you know what congressmen do? They actually create bills, legislation, and basically they help to facilitate and make laws. What would reparations be? It could either be a bill or a law. And this motherfucker immediately no, because he's a Jamaican Panamanian. He's an immigrant and he will not be able to get any of those benefits. And this is the issue. This is the issue. Why people that have the same hue of complexion as us, they get into positions of power and they undermine us. And this is why we say we don't want to fuck with them like that no more. Because we helped them to get into position. We did. Thinking that skinfolk was kinfolk. And now we're starting to see clear as day that they will never, ever pass or put anything into play to solely benefit us. But they will do shit for immigrants. They will pass bills and laws for immigrants. They will allocate funds simply and strictly and only and exclusively for immigrants. Y'all see how that go? Y'all see how that go? Yeah, people keep saying we need unity, we need unity. What the fuck are we benefiting from these people? They don't even fuck with us. And when they get in positions where they could do something for us, they're gonna say no if they're not benefiting from it. But they will, like I said, we got to run it back again. They will do something that's going to only solely benefit them. We have to continue to wake the fuck up. We cannot keep letting this. We all the same hue of complexion. The cops gonna stop us, and we all gonna get. It's a trick bag at this point. It's a trick bag, and there's so many of people with the same exact mindset in politics that have the ability to vote for certain bills and laws, and have the ability to veto certain bills and laws. This is so fucked up. These people came over here because of what our ancestors been through, their blood, sweat, and tears. And this is the thanks that we get. He wouldn't even be able to sit where he's sitting right now had it not been for foundational Black Americans. He wouldn't even be able to wear that suit. He wouldn't be able to walk into the White House. He wouldn't be able to fucking sit on his high horse. He wouldn't even have that title. He wouldn't have even been able to go to college. He wouldn't have even been able to come over here. It is a slap in the face, and it is a fucking disrespect to our ancestors. And we have to do something about this. Us just talking about it, we're starting to get the ball rolling. We gotta keep this going, because this really just made my blood boil. And a lot of them are in these positions, and they share these same exact sentiments.
Is for Black Americans. Everybody else can stay, but I just want you to know that I'm specifically speaking to Black Americans. Black Americans, I've been thinking about this for a while, and watching Amanda Seals slay all of those black conservatives and specifically slay Mr. Angola, I figured that it just pretty much confirmed for me that what I've been thinking about, yeah, I need to let you all know what I've been thinking about. Black Americans, you know that old saying, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Well, black people who are born outside of America have more than proven that all skin folk ain't kinfolk. A lot of them are loud with their disrespect and their denigration of black Americans. And it's sad, it's disheartening. They've been vile towards black Americans out there on social media. The relentless harassment and bullying that they bestow upon black Americans, it needs to be studied. With that said, black Americans, I want you to think about this as we are heading into the 2026 midterms and the 2028 presidential election. When you are looking at a candidate and that candidate looks like us, I need for you to go a step further and pay attention to what it is that they are saying. I need for you to go a step further to research that candidate, to find out what they stand for. And one of the questions that you need to ask these candidates that look like us, you need to ask them what are their thoughts and feelings on reparations for foundational black Americans. That one question will give you an answer on whether or not you should be voting for that candidate. You cannot rely on them having the same skin tone as us. Okay, black Americans, here's an example. For years, I've been watching Byron Donalds, and I knew he wasn't a black American. I couldn't prove it. I did a couple of researches, and I will always come back with he's African American, but I knew that man was not a foundational black American. So I never spoke on it. And for whatever reason, I'm scrolling, and I come across this.
I want to just play quickly what you said about reparations.
Now, he said at the tail end of his life, he said, we're going to Washington and get our check. What is your position on reparations?
I don't believe in reparations.
So you don't believe in reparations?
Oh, wow. Why do you got to play the rest of the clip, man? I was on fire during that one. A couple things is, all right, how many people in the United States today are actually descendants of slave owners? Forget descendants of slaves. Let's hold that to the side. Descendants of slave owners. You've had massive immigration into the United States over the last 150 years. So now you're going to say that people who immigrated to the United States, who are not descendants of slave owners, were not descendants of that trade, now they're going to be responsible for paying that out going forward. My mother's Jamaican. My father's Panamanian. You have a lot of black people in this country who are not descendants of the American slave trade. So I already know off top, there's a lot of black people in America who aren't going to be able to get that.
And there it is. Black immigrants in this country will work to undermine black Americans in this country because they won't be able to benefit off of black Americans when it comes to reparations. Never mind the fact, the blood, sweat, and tears that our ancestors spilled to try to make a better way of life for us, which directly benefits black immigrants in this country. No, they don't want you to get because they won't get. And allow me to point out that as he began to answer that question, he immediately went to defend the descendants of white slave owners. Go back and listen to his response. So, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And unfortunately, a lot of them come here to undermine us. Mr. Angola proved that. They come here and they side with white people and white supremacy. They do their damnedest to assimilate into white culture and white supremacy. So, when you see someone that looks like us that is running for office, you're going to have to ask some more questions. And one of those questions has to be, what are your thoughts on reparations? And before I go, I want to remind y'all talk shit about Kamala Harris, but this is what Kamala Harris had to say about reparations.
Democrats who will say they're for something, but when it comes time to actually do it, they're not there for you. They say they run away. They don't answer the question, and to be blunt, like the current vice president, not answering a lot of questions.
But she did say that she's for reparations.
After she said she wasn't. So which one is it?
No, she never said she wasn't.
That's never happened.
That's the false narrative.
All right, that's fine. I'm gonna let it go.
She was here when she said it.
But we have a history of racism in America.
So you are for some type of
Yes, I am.
reparation. Okay.
Yes, I am.
I'm not gonna challenge.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna challenge.
But I guess the question is, Congressman, you say that you're not for reparations, then you go on to say that there are a lot of elected officials. We know that racism is a bipartisan.
In summary, Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, American descendants of slavery, it's not enough for a politician to be Black. You got to ask the questions. And one of those questions should be, what are your thoughts on reparations?
Figure right here, Byron Donalds, does not support reparations, and he's been out there, he's been very outspoken why he doesn't speak on it, but people are not talking about the underlying issue. And also on this interview on the Breakfast Club, he had Angela Rye, and they both they both are in the same boat. And I'm gonna explain why. Let me eat this melon. Mr. Donalds is the descendant, like Ms. Rye is a descendant of migrants, him being the descendant of a Panamanian father and a Jamaican mother, I believe he said. And Angela Rye, her family is from Barbados. Her grandfather was also a founding member of the Blue Vein Society. She don't like talking about that. And that's a secret society that they had that kind of correlates with the Jack and Jill, talented Tim Boulay. That's why, they all sit, just go do your research. It's a whole rabbit hole with them. But I digress. My point that I was making was this. How can somebody who people don't come from the United States, how can people that don't come from there support something that they wouldn't get anything for? Now, again, the Caribbean, and all, allied islands have something called CARICOM that they get, and the Caribbean is also owed their reparations, and I think they should have been put in for that from like England and Spain. A lot of people owe them a lot of money. They were done very wrong. Especially Spain. Spain got to chop off some bread. Portugal, they got to chop off some bread, and then some incidents too. United States, they owe them some money too. But guess what? They wouldn't be entitled to our claim. So, yeah, that's just what it is. And when you don't benefit from that, why would you support that? They came over here willingly, as opposed to somebody that had to come over here to actually be enslaved. And his logic was, well, how many people in the United States are actually descendants of actual slave owners? How about you actually ask? Because when the Breakfast Club was given that playback of that actual argument you was happening, you was talking about, oh, keep going, I was on fire. You wasn't on fire. And that's why the black man that was in attendance told you that you can't speak for them and you can't speak for us. Whoever got you in there, and you definitely got in the office by pandering to the black cause and getting around your other constituents that believe in the same bullshit that you said. This is why you have to be careful with these type of people. This is a tether. This right here, this is a tether. This is a bad faith tether who does not have any type of unity with black Americans. So you gotta remember that. And you gotta be careful who you vote for. And brother, relax. Like,
we say reparations, somebody panics like we just asked for their entire inheritance. But here's the truth. This country has already paid reparations, just not to us. And not just once, multiple times. So let's stop acting brand new. Reparations are not about guilt. They are about debt. America's been in the red with Black folks for over 400 years. And it's not just slavery either. It's everything after. Stolen wages, stolen land, the GI Bill we were locked out of, the homes we weren't allowed to buy, the neighborhoods we were pushed out of. My grandparents in Virginia had a big house. They built something themselves. They held it down. But do you know what's there now? A highway. Because the government decided that their land was disposable, but convenient for development. And we're just one Black family amongst many more. Reparations is not some favor. It's the bare minimum for a country who made Black struggle policy. Economist Dr. William Darity crunched the numbers. To close the Black to white wealth gap today, 14 to 17 trillion. That's just to bring us even, not ahead, just even. So let's compare. Iraq and Afghanistan wars, 6 trillion. 2008 bank bailout, 700 billion. COVID era PPP loans, over $800 billion. And most people haven't even paid that back. Congress. So don't tell me we can't afford it. This country finds money for war, for Wall Street, and corporate tax cuts on command. It just doesn't want to write us into the budget. And it's not just checks. Though, let's be real, for many families, that's exactly what it should be. It could look like cash payments like the Japanese Americans received, interest-free home loans for the Black folks that were locked out of generational wealth, student debt cancellation or free college at public HBCUs, land returns for families displaced by urban renewal, tax credits or guaranteed income based on ancestry. And miss me with the how do we prove who qualifies? This country tracks ancestry just fine when it wants to. Native enrollment, Holocaust reparations, the 9/11 Victims Fund. The issue isn't logistics, it's politics. Because if we got what we were actually owed, we'd stop scraping to survive. We'd have what they always feared: wealth, stability, ownership, power. We wouldn't need to ask for a seat at the table. We'd be flipping tables and buying the building. Reparations would not destroy America. They'd reveal it. They'd show who got rich off of stolen land, who passed down trust funds built on unpaid labor, who inherited freedom while we inherited cleanup. So yeah, reparations would change everything. And maybe it's time something finally did.
Who are not descendants of the American slave trade. So I already know off top, there's a lot of Black people in America who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit or get reparations.
Well, most people who are for reparations, they feel like it should go to what they call foundational Black Americans anyway.
These are the reasons for why I'm no. So so
they
now
do support reparations for what Leonard just deemed as, quote, foundational Black Americans?
No, I don't.
No.
All right, so I want y'all to listen to me very clearly. And if you find offense to what I'm saying and you think that I'm talking to you and I'm trying to be disrespectful, good. That's exactly what I'm going for. So this cat, who happens to be a Panamanian and Jamaican, and he doesn't support the reparations movement, is because it wouldn't go to non-foundational Black Americans. So in other words, because it would only go to those who actually should get it, based on our lineage, he doesn't want to support it. Literally, these cats are government agents. They literally be in the government. The ones that push back against things that should benefit us. They act like they wouldn't benefit from reparations. They benefit from everything we do. But because they won't directly receive the reparations, they're ready to crash it out. And he's not the only one. There's governors, immigrant governors who've done the same thing. The Congressional Black Caucus is mostly immigrants. They push back against anything for us. But answer me this question. Have you ever seen that Negro push back against things that benefit LGBT? Does he push back against things that benefit Jewish people? Does he push back against things that only benefit immigrants? He's only pushing back against things that would benefit us. See, I couldn't go to Jamaica and be like, hey, I know you guys are trying to get this reparations from CARICOM. Leave it alone. I don't agree that you guys should get it. And they would platform me. and that they would allow me to back political parties. They would run me out of Jamaica for saying some shit like that. And y'all call us agents for pushing back against this. This is why I don't respect y'all. This is why I don't give a damn about what y'all have to say. Because y'all sound just like these white supremacists who have a problem when we protest against police unaliving us, but they never speak out against us being unalived. That's how y'all sound. Who's the real agents? I really don't give a damn about what y'all say. Y'all can keep that projection. Keep that shit over there. There's a reason why we ain't fucking with y'all no more. See, we've tried this whole let's kumbaya. And listen, I know it's not all Africans, it's not all Caribbeans, but goddamn it, it's too many. Especially with no one speaking up against this, but they have a problem with us when we do.
So I finally got a chance to watch that Breakfast Club interview with that Congressman Byron Donalds, who was talking about how he's against reparations for foundational Black Americans and how he feels like the problem with reparations would be that people who are not descendants of slave owners, aka immigrants, would be the ones who basically end up having to pay for that in the future. Like they're the ones who have to basically pay that out. And so every time I see a Black American person that talks about this topic, they're always being very politically correct. Okay, so I'm going to volunteer myself to be the ignorant one and to say the quiet part out loud. Okay, because I don't mind doing that. So this guy, he's Jamaican and Panamanian, right? So he's speaking on this topic. I understand that he's a politician, but he's speaking on this topic from a foreign perspective, right? Not from the perspective of the people who are descendant of this major tragedy that happened in the United States. So his perspective is obviously very biased, in my opinion. And so my thing is, if you have an issue, if you feel like that your problem with this whole reparations thing is that you would have to end up paying this out and you're not going to benefit from it, right? And other immigrants are going to end up having to pay for this. You got two whole ass countries that you can fly your ass back to. You have Panama, you have Jamaica. And that goes for any other immigrant. Wherever your country of origin is, if you don't want to pay into the American society or whatever it is that the government decides that they want to do with the taxpayers' money or however they would do it. I don't even know how they would do reparations. I'm not sure. But if you don't want to be a part of that, if you feel like, I don't want to pay into this, like but you have a whole ass country that you can fly your ass back to. And the reason why I'm saying that, yeah, I do. I know it sounds ignorant and I don't care. I'm going to just say the quiet part out loud because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other Black Americans who think the same thing. You know, people come over here and they brag about, oh, my country is this, my country is so much better. Then they come over here for a better opportunity. They diss and they dog Americans. They tell us how we're uneducated and we don't have any schools and how having an education over here is illegal and just all this dumb, ignorant stuff that they say. But yet brag and brag about where they came from, but yet they're over here and trying to make decisions on things that have nothing to do with them. And they don't want to fly their ass back to where they came from. They just want to be over here and stay over here. Because I just feel like anytime somebody doesn't benefit from something, they're always going to try to shut it down. And that's what I feel like this politician is doing. And that's this is a part of the reason, like when I said in one of my previous videos, I don't feel like immigrants. I don't feel like you should be able to be in political power. I don't believe that you should hold any political office unless you've been in the United States for at least 3 generations. Because if you haven't, you don't have enough love and respect for this country to make decisions on anything. He does not understand enough about the Black American experience, the foundational Black experience, and what that looks like and what that looked like throughout history and how it built the country. He does not have enough experience in that to speak on it at all or to make a decision on it. Why are we having people who are not even from here make decisions for us? That does not make sense to me. It never has. If you haven't been here for at least 3 generations, and to me, that's being generous. Why are you in political power? I would never go fly to Panama and try to make decisions for Panamanians, or fly to Jamaica, or fly to Brazil and run for office down there and try to make decisions for Brazilians. Why would I do that? Why would I try to stop them from getting anything? But yet people want to come over here and they want to do it because there's some type of ulterior motive. And I'm going to just leave it at that.
Anyways, welcome back, guys, and thank you so much for staying till this point. If you haven't dropped me your comments, drop me your comments. And I went to do my own research to know why literally do you think Black Americans deserve reparation, especially for those ones that have never thought in their life that Black people deserve reparation or deserve good thing. These are some of the reasons why, if you're watching, these people do not only deserve reparation, in fact, they deserve extra things that is even more than reparation. Let's get right into it. Right? And I'm going to be breaking it down step by step according to my research, okay? So, for the first reason why they actually deserve it is for historical injustice, slavery. For more than 200 years, enslaved Africans and their descendants were forced to labor without pay. Did you hear that? They were forced to labor without pay. Their unpaid labor built much of the US economy, from agriculture to banking, while they are denying the wealth they created. After emancipation, 1865, formerly enslaved people received no compensation, even though many others slaveholders, for example, did receive financial settlement for their loss of properties. Human beings, Black Americans, are not tagged as loss of properties, that they are being compensated, right? The slave owners are being compensated. But when it comes to Black folks that are supposed to be compensated, giving reparation, a lot of people are throwing east, west, north, and south. Now, the second reason is broken promise after slavery. The government briefly promised free Black people 40 acres and a more as restitution for slavery, but that promise was revoked. It was never given to them. Instead, many freed families were pushed into sharecropping or debt ponage, which kept them economically dependent and impoverished. The third reason is Jim Crow and racial terror. From the late 800s through the mid-900s, Black Americans faced legal segregation, lynching, voter suppression, and discrimination in housing, education, and unemployment. This law and practice strip wealth and opportunities across generations. The fourth one is systemic discrimination into 20th century. Federal policy like Redlining and discriminatory GI bills exclude Black families from home ownerships and higher education. Black veterans who served in World War II were often denied the benefits that helped many white families entered the middle class. Persistent racial wealth gaps, which is my fifth reason. The average white family in the US still holds 6 to 10 times more wealth than the average Black family. Much of this gap reflects historical barriers to wealth accumulation, not just individual efforts. Reparations are seen as a way to repair that damage and create equality. Moral and legal persistence. The US has provided reparation before, for example, to Japanese American interned during World War II and to Native Americans tribe for stolen lands and treaty violations. Many argued that the same principle or redress should apply to Black Americans for slavery and systemic racism. People raised against reparation, and what's the response? Those there. Reparation should be given or will be given, as far as I'm concerned. Even if it is not now, it will definitely be given, because these people have literally gone through a lot. For a lot of people to come out here and be like, do not give them reparation, they do not deserve reparation, east, west, north, and south. And please don't be a speaker for Black Americans. In fact, if you're not Black Americans, even if you're Black Americans, you do not support reparation, please don't be their speaker. You are not in the position to speak for a whole lot of crowd. It's just is so pissing. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, like this video, drop me your comments, and lastly, do not forget to share. And yes, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I say in my videos. I'm going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys.